After leaving the dunes of Huacachina and crossing miles of open desert, we arrive in Nazca, a quiet town surrounded by one of the driest landscapes on Earth. At first glance, Nazca feels modest and unassuming. Low buildings, dusty streets, small restaurants, and souvenir shops line the town center. But beneath this calm atmosphere lies a gateway to one of the greatest archaeological mysteries in the world. Nazca is not just a stop for tourists. It sits in the heart of an ancient cultural landscape shaped by the Nazca civilization more than 2,000 years ago. The town serves as the starting point for flights over the Nazca Lines, visits to the ceremonial center of Cahuachi, and exploration of nearby aqueduct systems built by the Nazca people to survive in this extreme desert environment. Today, Nazca is a meeting point between past and present. Small museums, including the Antonini Archaeological Museum, preserve artifacts, ceramics, and textiles that reveal how sophisticated this ancient society truly was. What appears to be a quiet desert town is actually layered with history, a living bridge to pyramids, geoglyphs, ritual pathways, and sacred spaces carved into the earth. Standing here, you realize that Nazca is more than just a destination. It is the doorway to understanding how an ancient civilization transformed an unforgiving desert into a sacred landscape. We see a group of human figures carved into the desert slope. Many people call this the Nazca family, but archaeologists aren't certain who they represent. They could be ritual participants, deities, or important members of Nazca society. Unlike the famous animal figures drawn on the flat desert floor, these hillside geoglyphs may have been visible from ancient pathways, guiding people towards ceremonial centers like Cahuachi. Even before we reach the giant hummingbird or monkey, the mystery has already begun. The tree looks like a stylized plant with branching roots and limbs spreading outward. Some researchers believe it may symbolize life in the desert, fertility, water, a precious resource in this extremely arid region, a sacred plant or cosmological symbol. Like the hands, it is located close to the Pan American Highway. The hands. Two enormous hands carved into the desert floor, one with 5 fingers, the other with 4. The missing finger isn't damage, it was designed this way. Archaeologists still debate what it represents. Was it a ritual symbol? A spiritual offering? A sign marking sacred ground? Standing above it, you realize these weren't random drawings. They were intentional messages etched into the earth, messages we are still trying to understand. In the 1930s, when the Pan American Highway was constructed, engineers did not fully understand the significance of the Nazca Lines. As a result, part of these was cut through by the road. Several smaller lines were damaged. The highway now passes directly across part of the geoglyph field. Fortunately, by that time, many of the major figures had already been documented. Later preservation efforts helped protect the remaining lines. Today, there is even a small observation tower near the highway where visitors can see from above without flying. Now it's time for the highlight of our journey in Nazca. We're heading to the small Nazca airport to board a light aircraft that will take us above the desert to see the famous Nazca Lines. From the ground, these ancient drawings are almost impossible to recognize, but from the air they reveal enormous shapes carved into the desert more than 2,000 years ago by the Nazca civilization. During this flight, we'll see giant figures of animals, plants, and mysterious symbols stretching across the landscape. No one knows exactly why they were created, but many believe they were part of ritual pathways or spiritual messages connected to the Nazca culture. The Nazca Lines lie on the Nazca Pampa, a large desert plateau located between the Pacific coastal desert and the western Andes. The mountains visible from the plain are the Andean foothills, which are the lower ridges that gradually rise toward the main Andes range farther inland. The Nazca Lines lie on a desert plain between the Pacific coast and the Andes, in one of the driest environments on Earth. The lack of rain and wind is exactly what helped preserve these ancient drawings in the desert for more than 2,000 years. No one knows exactly why the Nazca people created these enormous desert drawings more than 2,000 years ago. Many researchers believe the lines were part of ceremonial pathways used during rituals. Others think the animals symbolized rain, fertility, and water in this extremely dry desert. What we do know is that the Nazca transformed this landscape into a sacred place where art, religion, and nature were all connected. One of the most fascinating questions about the Nazca Lines is how the ancient Nazca people created these giant drawings without ever seeing them from the sky. Archaeologists believe they used simple surveying methods, placing wooden stakes in the ground and connecting them with ropes to create long, straight lines and shapes. By removing the dark stones on the desert surface, they revealed the lighter soil underneath. Thanks to the dry desert climate, these enormous artworks have survived here for more than 2,000 years. Below us is one of the most famous Nazca figures, the monkey. It's easy to recognize by its long, spiral tail stretching across the desert floor. Interestingly, monkeys don't live in this desert environment. They come from the Amazon rainforest on the other side of the Andes. This suggests the Nazca people had connections with distant regions, and the animal may have held symbolic meaning related to nature, fertility, or spiritual beliefs. The figure of a dog. Nazca people often depicted animals that were important in their culture and mythology. Nazca hummingbird, one of the most graceful figures carved into the desert. With its long beak and delicate wings, the bird stretches nearly 100 meters across the ground. In ancient Andean cultures, hummingbirds symbolized life, fertility, and the renewal of nature, powerful meanings in a desert where water and agriculture were essential for survival. The Nazca spider figure stretches about 45 meters across the desert and is one of the most precisely drawn geoglyphs. In many ancient cultures, spiders symbolized rain and fertility, important ideas in a desert where water meant survival. Condor, with its wings stretched across the desert floor, it is one of the largest bird geoglyphs in Nazca. In ancient Andean cultures, the condor was considered a sacred messenger between the earth and the heavens, symbolizing power, spirituality, and the connection to the gods. Nazca parrot, easily recognized by its curved beak. Parrots do not live in this desert region. They come from the Amazon rainforest on the other side of the Andes. The headless bird. The body and wings are clearly visible, but the head appears to be missing. Archaeologists believe this may be the result of erosion or damage over time. The Nazca Lines were known locally for centuries, but their true scale was only discovered in the 1930s when airplanes began flying over the desert. American researcher Paul Kosak was one of the first scientists to study them, and later German mathematician Maria Reiche dedicated most of her life to mapping and protecting these mysterious drawings. Today, archaeologists use satellite images, drones, and artificial intelligence to discover even more geoglyphs hidden across the Nazca Desert. Scientists believe the Nazca Lines were part of a vast ceremonial landscape created by the Nazca civilization more than 2,000 years ago. Many researchers think the lines were used for rituals connected to water, agriculture, and spiritual beliefs. Local traditions also suggest that some of these lines may have guided people toward sacred centers like Kawachi, where ceremonies and gatherings took place. Even today, the true purpose of these enormous desert drawings remains one of archaeology's greatest mysteries.